Okay, I know this is sideways, so go ahead and turn your computer sideways so you can get a good look, your Chromebook, at our notes today. Today, as we write personal narratives and as we write anything, the first thing in grammar that we want to talk about are apostrophes. When do we use apostrophes? And we need to be careful with our apostrophes. Go ahead and put this header at the top of your notebook. Pause the video now and press play when you're ready. All right, there are two instances when we're writing that we will be using apostrophes. The first is when there is a contraction. So I'm going to write that word contraction here because that is one place that we, and I'm going to, I like to make my stuff a little dressy. Contraction. Okay, that's when we're going to use apostrophe. And that's when the apostrophe, now remember, apostrophes are up high. I'm going to put an arrow. They're not down below like a comma, okay? A contraction is when we take two words and we combine them. The apostrophe will take the place of the letter that is missing. So, for example, I am. In our English language, we can turn that into I'm. The apostrophe goes where the letter is missing. So, where is it missing? We took out the A from am. So, the apostrophe goes here. Okay, let's do a few more. So, she is. In the English language, we can shorten that and make that she's, which means we are taking out what? We're taking out the I. So when we write it, we must have she apostrophe where the I is missing, she's. And how about one like this? We have. We turn that into weave. Now, what did we take out? We took out the H and the A. So when we write it, our contraction, we must put our apostrophe there. So, one rule for apostrophes is to show the missing letter. Now, I'm going to draw another bar across for a more complicated use of the apostrophe, and that is possessives, okay? Possessives means that something belongs to you or that something belongs to someone else. So let's call this, I'm going to divide this into two. I'm going to write possessive because that's the word we need to know, possessive. But over here, I'm going to write a question. In other words, we're wondering, hey, that's mine. Who's that belong to? That, oh, there's an apostrophe for that is, that's mine. Okay, so basically, we're going to use an apostrophe to show ownership. That's what possessive means. Okay, now, here's where it gets complicated. It can be a singular noun that owns something or a plural noun. Now, I hope you know what plural and singular mean, but just in case you don't. Singular means one, okay? So that's one person owning something. Plural means a bunch of people owning something. So the rules are different. If singular, I'm going to put the number 1 over here just to remind myself what singular means. And then over here, I'm going to write 2 or more. Okay? Because it gets confusing. So let's start with the easiest thing. Okay? If my friend Sam has a book, what we're going to do is we're going to add an apostrophe S to show that that book belongs to Sam. The apostrophe is showing possessive or ownership. How about that turtle? Let's say a turtle, one turtle, singular, one turtle has a shell. We're going to call that the turtle's shell. So we're going to add an apostrophe S to show that the turtle owns the shell. Okay? Now, that's a person, that's an animal, but a thing can own something. In other words, I can have a book, and that book has pages. If I say, excuse me, please don't bend the book's pages, I'm asking you to not bend the pages that belong to the book. So there we have our apostrophe S. And not only is it a person, a thing, and an animal, it can be a place. For example, our school. Let me slide this up to be sure you can see. Sorry. Our school. Our school has computers. You're working on a school's computer. Sorry, squeeze that in. So in order to show that ownership, we are going to add, that is the school's, an apostrophe, the school's computer. Okay? Now, that was easy. We just added an apostrophe S. But when two or more things own something, it gets a little tricky because an S is already there. And when that happens, we do something that might seem really weird to you, but it is correct. In fact, most students get this wrong on standardized testing and in their writing because it looks so odd, but it is the correct way. So let's just say that I have a bunch of dogs, more than one, two or more, a bunch of them. And let's just say I'm talking about all the girls in my class. It ends in an S because it's plural. Dogs, girls, and maybe outside my window I see a bunch of birds, plural, more than one. Okay? But I also want to point out that there are words that mean a lot of things that doesn't end in S, like men. Men is two or more, but we don't say men's. It's just there's a bunch of men. Same thing with kids, children. Children mean two or more, but it doesn't end in S. So you're going to see how apostrophes get tricky, okay? So I want all these dogs to own bones today, and I want all the girls to own dolls today. And I want all the birds to have baby chicks today. And I want all the men to talk about their yucky, stinky socks. You know they stink, guys. And children, let's say they all have bicycles, bikes. All right. Now, what do we do with that apostrophe? The apostrophe still is going to show ownership. But if we added an apostrophe S to dogs, I would say, hello everyone, take a look at the dog's bones. If I did an apostrophe S, I would have to say, look at the dog's bones. That sounds crazy. So when a plural noun ends in an S, we are going to put an apostrophe. I hope you can see my apostrophe. But we are not going to add an extra S. The apostrophe we still use to show ownership, but we don't add the S when there's already one there. Okay? Because we don't want to say dogs' bones. We're just going to say dog's bones. Same thing with girls. There's more than one girl. So we're going to put an apostrophe behind the S, but we are not going to add an S. That would be the girls' dolls. And so when it ends in an S, just like with birds, and it's plural, we're going to use the apostrophe, but not add the S like we do with the singular. But just to confuse things, when there are words that mean two or more, but there is no S, and then it's okay to add an S. So if I'm talking about the men's socks, I am going to add an apostrophe S because I'm not going to say the men's socks. I'm going to say the men's socks. Pretty confusing, isn't it? I know it is. That's why we have these rules. We've got to be careful. And children's bike. Did you hear me say children's? So we are going to add an apostrophe and an S here, okay? So if you would make this entry, and let me suggest that these rules are what our competition is this week. So I'm going to use this just so you can pause it to finish writing it. Pause it wherever you need to. Make sure you can see everything. And if you get all of this in your notebook, you can use this as a cheat sheet for your competition this week in quizzes because it's on apostrophes. May the best grammar kid win.